Have you ever had a teacher tell you to pull out a pen and paper and start writing? About what, you ask? Anything. This is known as creative writing, and often, when teachers ask their students to do any kind of creative writing, they are met with moans and groans, because people don't always enjoy it. Many would even say creative writing doesn't belong in the public education system. I, personally, have always been an avid creative writer, so I never had a problem with grabbing a pen and my notebook whenever my teacher asked me to. Once I realized it wasn't for everyone, I began doing research on why creative writing is taught in schools and whether or not it truly belongs there. My research yielded some amazing results, some that I'm very proud of, and some I think everyone should hear, whether or not they enjoy creative writing. As it turns out, creative writing can be an extremely beneficial thing to teach in any and all levels of education. I'll explain to you how and in what ways it benefits students and teachers and maybe even whole communities. But before that, we'll need to define what exactly creative writing is and why it matters. According to David McVeigh, a writer for an education journal, all writing is creative writing because when someone writes, they literally create something from nothing. For the purpose of this speech, creative writing mostly refers to writing done involving the use of the imagination. It doesn't have to be about anything specific, but instead can range from medieval Europe to a faraway galaxy to your own backyard. David McVeigh gives the idea that many students are afraid of writing and creative writing because they are expressions of themselves, and because of that, they feel they may be judged. But how is creative writing even relevant to being a lawyer, or a mathematician, or a doctor, or anything else you go to college for? I get questions like this sometimes, and it all comes back to one thing. Creative writing owns the basic skills of reading and writing, things which are important for just about any career. But it exercises one more thing many people disregard: the imagination. Where would we be without the imagination of one Sir Isaac Newton? Or maybe Albert Einstein? The point is that the imagination gives birth to so many new ideas that often become the basis for huge scientific or social advances. Any career needs two basic abilities, writing and reading. I believe it would be very difficult to find one where you don't need those skills. But imagination, while it may not be necessary, can be extremely beneficial and make your job easier. Creative writing can reveal a lot about the psychology of the writer as well. Sung-Hui Cho, one of the shooters in the Virginia Tech massacre, wrote creatively, but according to Cho's playwriting teacher after the massacre, there was violence in Cho's writing. Had Cho's writing been more closely examined, teachers may have been able to intervene before the Virginia Tech massacre. For this reason, creative writing should be taught at all levels of education and examined by teachers, to help make sure children are developing healthily mentally. Many people say creative writing is impossible to teach, but in the end, it really just depends on the teacher. Within the book, Educating the Imagination, Essays and Ideas for Teachers and Writers, there is an entire section dedicated to creative writing teachers and how they benefit students. Pat Schneider, author of Writing Alone and with Others, stated very simply, young writers and those new to the craft can benefit greatly from finding a good teacher. Anis Shivani of the Huffington Post detailed how students of creative writing learn from each other by participating in workshops in which writers critique each other's works, which effectively makes every writer a teacher as well. Creative writing is often discredited as useless to public schools, as well as a waste of everyone's time and money. Students often begrudge the activity unless they enjoy writing. But it turns out that this activity can be taught, and not only that, but it turns out that it develops an extremely useful skill set. Whether schools only use it as a means for monitoring the psychological health of students, or to teach students how to read and write with greater skill, creative writing has many applications. It can be used to develop teaching skills within students as well. But the most important thing is that it enhances the imagination. Whether you plan on studying to become a doctor, lawyer, scientist, mathematician, philosopher, or just about anything else, creative writing helps build a skill set that anyone can benefit from.